Welcome to the David Pakman Show bonus show. I am Farron Cousins from Ring of Fire. I've been sitting in for David Pakman all day today. And to start today's bonus show, I got to do a bit of a callback to a story we talked about yesterday here on the David Pakman Show. And that story, of course, was the fact that Rick Scott, the chair of the National Republican Senatorial Committee, which is the fundraising arm of the Republicans in the Senate, has lost all their money. All the money's gone. They'd raised $173 million this cycle. They got $28 million left. Republicans are hounding him. We want answers. Where the heck is the money? And of course, we yesterday discussed the irony of the fact that Rick Scott founded a company that, engaged in the largest Medicare fraud in history and then pleaded the Fifth Amendment 75 times to avoid incriminating himself in the scheme. So yeah, kind of makes sense that suddenly the money's gone. But of course, we're not accusing Rick Scott of stealing the money. But what I'm about to tell you next kind of makes it hard to not think he did something wrong. Because Rick Scott has fled the country. Rick Scott right now, while Congress is on recess, is on a luxury yacht with his family in Italy. So he's over in Italy, and he's independently wealthy. Trust me, he didn't steal the money. He paid for this himself. But Republicans are like, hey, we're missing almost $150 million. Anybody seen it? Rick Scott from his yacht in Italy. Haven't seen a dime of it, guys. You can't make this stuff up, right? Like if this were to happen in a movie, you'd be like, well, that's just too unrealistic. I mean, the guy lost all their money and then he just flees to Italy on a super yacht. Come on, nobody's that cartoon villainish evil. Well, Rick Scott is apparently. And again, I'm not accusing Rick Scott of stealing the money. The guy has hundreds of millions of dollars. He is paying for the luxury yacht himself, I hope. But man, what bad optics, right? Like, how dumb do you have to be when you know you've got your entire party breathing down your neck because you have mismanaged their finances so bad, and you're just like, well, weather's nice over in Europe. I'm gonna go hop on a luxury yacht. Best of luck finding that money, though, guys. I mean, really, leave no stone unturned. We'll figure this out. Hey, we're sailing off. Bye, guys. I'll see you later. Again, you couldn't make this stuff up. It is so unbelievable. It is so unrealistic, yet it's happening right now. The money's gone. He's on a luxury yacht. Again, he didn't take it. I don't think for a second he took it. What he likely did, though, was pay a bunch of overpriced Republican consultants who are not good at their jobs. They spent a ton of money on advertising for candidates that, as Mitch McConnell himself puts it, are, lower quality. So that's wasted money. And overall, it's probably a good lesson for the Republicans that you don't put a guy who ran a company they committed the largest Medicare fraud in the history of the United States. Don't put him in charge of your money. He's proven that he's not good with money. So, lesson learned, right? You would think maybe for these Republicans that, maybe we ought to find somebody else. But I guarantee you nothing will happen, right? Rick Scott will keep his position. He'll get to do whatever the heck he wants. He maybe spend more vacations over there on a super yacht in Italy. And in the meantime, Republicans are out of money right as we hit that home stretch before the midterms. And Rick Scott doesn't even seem to care. You got to admire that kind of just nonchalant attitude, right? Like to just be like, whatever. I got my money. I'm not up for re-election this year. Best of luck, idiots. So long and thanks for all the cash, right? Another story, and this one is definitely far more serious than Rick Scott absconding over to Italy. More information has come out about the election data that was stolen in the state of Georgia by Donald Trump's allies, including, of course, the person who seems to be the ringleader, Sidney Powell. It turns out, according to the newest reports, that data that was stolen from Georgia using a company called Sullivan Strickler. That data was given to election deniers and Trump allies. And by given to them, I mean it was put up on a server and it was downloaded at least 10 times according to the reports. And it went to Donald Trump's friends, who also happen to be the election deniers. And this whole story just reeks from top to bottom. And of course, the state of Georgia has launched a criminal investigation into this. But here's the thing that gets me. This happened in November of 2020, which means it had happened before the Electoral College vote had been certified. The election results in the state of Georgia at the time this data was accessed had also not been certified yet, which of course is where the criminal activity comes into play. So these investigators that are now looking into this criminal case, they don't know if the data was only accessed or if the data was manipulated before the state could even certify it. That is the big problem of this. Of course, accessing the data anyway is illegal in and of itself. And the new report does say that, yes, the election workers let the Sullivan Strickler people in there come in and, copy the data. Because there's multiple steps to this whole scheme, right? First of all, you had Trump people, including Sidney Powell. They hired this contractor, Sullivan Strickler, to come in and copy the data. So Sullivan Strickler says, okay, cool, yeah, we can do that. They go to the local office in Coffee County. The local election worker happens to be sympathetic to the cause, lets them come in, gives them access to all of these machines that they should not legally have access to. And the question I have, and of course, then they copy it, they upload it, everybody downloads it. The question I have is, does Sullivan Strickler hold any liability here? They were hired to do a job. They showed up. They were not told, as far as we know, that they cannot access this, but don't worry, we got a mole on the inside. It's going to let you in. So I don't know that the contractor themselves would carry any liability here or any criminal penalties because they may not have known. And the reason that's important is not because I want to protect Sullivan Strickler. It's because now they have a carrot to dangle in front of the company. They could say, listen, technically what you did was illegal, but we don't want to have to charge you. After all, you were just doing what you were hired to do. They let you in to do it. You didn't have to break in under the cover of darkness and do this. So how about we just avoid charging you? You just tell us all the players. Sullivan Strickler could make an absolute wonderful plea deal. Not even a plea deal because you're not going to plead to anything. Cut a deal with the investigators. Give them everything you know. Give them everything you have. Tell them everything you saw. And let's get these people before they do this again. And yes, by the way, what happened before those election results were certified in the state of Georgia, that's why Donald Trump has been going around and endorsing these people for Secretary of State, endorsing, election officials. That's why Steve Bannon has been telling his audience for a year and a half, go run and be an election official. That's why Trump's endorsing governors. That's why he wants these people in place so they can do things like what they did in Georgia. Except instead of just copying data, as I mentioned, it could be manipulated. It could be erased. Oops, we lost the votes. And there's nothing we can do to get them back. Sorry. That's the real danger here. Is not just that it happened, but that they're setting the stage to do it again in the next election. And finally today, there was a great op-ed in the Daily Beast. And I know I talk a lot about the Daily Beast. It's one of my favorite sites now. They've gotten so much better than what they used to be. But anyway, there's this op-ed from Matt Lewis. And the headline is, Trump's legacy is convincing idiots that they should run for office. And I love that because that is astonishingly accurate, right? We have had, and Matt Lewis points this out in his piece. We've had idiots run for office before. We have had people from outside politics run for office. You know, we have had Ronald Reagan, obviously an actor. We've had Jack Kemp, who was a quarterback with the Buffalo Bills. Matt Lewis points all these out. Arnold Schwarzenegger. We've had all kinds of people. But none of them were as grossly incompetent and cartoonish, really, as Donald Trump. And once he came along, it just lowered the bar so much that it paved the way for people like Dr. Oz and Herschel Walker to look at Trump and be like, I could do that. Why not? If he can do it, I can do it. I think I'd make a dang good senator. And that's why we're in the situation that we're in today. Because we have these people with no political experience whatsoever. They have no experience at all in their lives, by the way, that would even indicate they understand politics. And judging from the way specifically those two campaigns are running, I don't think they do understand politics. Now, these are two of the worst and possibly the dumbest candidates that we have seen in recent years. And we're talking about even through elections that included people like Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene. These guys are dumber. And they're just so comically bad at what they do. And I don't even think they grasp how bad they are at this. But Trump set the stage. Now, the question I have, and this was not addressed in the piece, is who set the stage for Trump? And I think for that, you got to go back to Reagan. You could arguably say go back to Nixon for the corruption, but I do think you go back to Reagan. Because Reagan, even though he was governor of California and two-term president, so before he ran for president, at least he had some experience. He was also president of the Screen Actors Guild. So he had experience, I guess, technically being a president of something. But Reagan was also, to a degree, a cartoonish figure. You know, go back and look at what comedians were saying about him. Go back and watch old episodes of Saturday Night Live. That's how you can gauge how these people are viewed. And I know that seems weird, but that gives you a good idea of how these people were viewed. And then you fast forward a couple years, 12, George W. Bush. Headlines all across the place from every liberal magazine, Rolling Stone, the dumbest president ever. And it seemed at the time that he truly was. And then John McCain came along. And I think it was John McCain's 2008 campaign that lowered the bar to the point where a guy like Trump could run. Because John McCain gave us Sarah Palin. And from Sarah Palin, we then went to people like Christine, I'm not a witch, O'Donnell. We got people like Joni Ernst. We got Louis Gohmert's. We got Jim Jordan's. We got Matt Gates's. Of course, Gates was elected the same year as Trump got into office. But the dumbing down didn't just happen with Trump, right? The bar had been systemically lowered for years and years and years and years until we got to the point of Trump. But once Trump came along, it showed all these other wannabes like Dr. Oz and Herschel Walker that there are no standards anymore. And that, folks, is the problem. There are no standards anymore. Look, I get people, and I know David gets them too, saying, why don't you run for office? Because we're not politicians. Because we, even, as smart as a guy like David is, we know how government works, but we're still not equipped to be able to do those things. And I don't want to, speak for David on that regard. Maybe he has ambitions. I don't know. He hasn't told me about them. But I know I don't. And look, I have a political science degree. I have worked in the political arena and the legal arena for almost 20 years. I'm a member of Mensa, and I got to tell you, I'm not smart enough to be up there. I mean, look, given the people that are up there, hell yeah, I am. We all are. But I would want somebody better than that. And that's what we should all want. We have to try to raise that bar again, but I don't know, given what the Republicans have to offer, that that's even possible. And when you do have somebody that is intelligent, that is very well spoken, that is, dapper, They attack him. They attacked Obama. They attacked the way he dressed. They attacked the way he ate. Fox News in the 2008 campaign ran segments talking about, oh, he uses Dijon mustard. Oh, he eats arugula. Those were actual segments Fox News did. Yet they're running puff pieces on Herschel Walker, who can't string a sentence together to save his life. They're trying to convince everybody that, oh, John Fetterman's terrible and Dr. Oz is great. No. Fox News and all the conservative media have contributed, of course, to the dumbing down of everything. And I don't think that as long as those things exist, there's any chance of raising that bar of what a politician should be ever again. We're stuck with what we've got, basically. And on that super depressing note, that's all the time we have for today. If you want more from me, you can find me on YouTube. I've got 2 channels. The big one, of course, youtube.com/TheRingOfFire. My other one, youtube.com/Farron Balanced. You can also find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Across all 4 of those, I'm at Farron Balanced. This has been The David Pakman Show. I'm Farron Cousins. I've been in for David Pakman. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great evening.